Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. In today's video, I want to try something new, which is really not that new, but I've been wanting to do tiny paintings, and so I thought what better time to do it than right now. I cut up some little squares of watercolor paper, and this is just a Canson XL 9x12, so there's 12 sheets. And I just cut it. They're 3x3 squares. And I thought some of these little papers can go into my K-drama journal. If you don't know, I have a K-drama journal, which I just fill with the K-dramas I watched, so I can, when I look at this journal, I can like relive all my happiness of watching them. So I thought it would be a cool idea to make some little paintings to put in this journal in the future. And not only for this journal, just to have too. And to paint on these, I won't be just using any ordinary watercolor or gouache or acrylic. I'll be using gouache, but not any ordinary gouache. I will be using, just little move, my little friend, this jelly gouache that I've seen a lot of people on YouTube use, and I bought. And I did not expect this to be this big. Look at this, compared to the size of my hand, this is huge. I was expecting it to be much smaller and not this big. When I picked up the Amazon package, I was really surprised of how heavy this was. But it is so pretty, and it's pink, it's so pretty. So you've all probably seen this gouache set, so I'm just gonna go through it really quickly. It has a palette, 18 colors. It has 18 colors. And this is, if anybody's wondering, this is my little desk buddy. He's been with me forever. I actually don't know how old he is, but he's my little desk lion buddy. So there's 18 colors, and they're all individually wrapped in these little jelly cubes. And this is going to be really annoying peeling off all this plastic. This reminds me of an ice cube tray. I don't think you should put this in the freezer though. Okay, let's start opening this up. This is gonna be fun. At least with paint tubes, if they have the little plastic film inside, you're not wasting a bunch of paint because it's only a small surface area. But this one is so much paint is getting stuck on the cover. Come on, come on. Try to get you on this side. Look at all that paint that just got stuck on top. So as I said before, this tiny painting is going to go on my K-drama journal. And the spread this painting is going to go in is for Hotel de Luna. And in that drama, there's a large tree and it's very important to the drama. And I think it's a good simple painting just to start out with. Here's a picture of the tree if you're interested. I will include all my reference photos, the Pinterest board I use for all my reference photos, a link in the description box below, so if you're interested, you can check that out. So I just want to talk about what I think about this paint. For the first thing is that it's very opaque and it's really good. All the colors blended very well with each other, and I think they did a good job in choosing which colors to include, because you get the primary colors, you get yellow ochre, you get brown, black, 2 whites, and with gouache, you use white pretty often, unlike with watercolor where you just use the water to make the color lighter. With gouache you can use white to get a more pastel color. So I think they did a good job with the color selection, and I like that they included different greens, like one green is more yellowish, the other green is more bluish. As you can see on the top right corner, there's like a bluish kind of green, and they include different reds, and they include orange. The Arteza gouache doesn't really include orange. They include like a light apricot color, which is a very good skin color, but this gouache includes a very orangish yellow color, which I think was very good. Also, I'm comparing it to the Arteza gouache because that's the only other gouache I've tried, and I believe it's a similar price point. So the reason I decided to do a tinier painting is because I didn't want to be so worried about the details of the painting, and I think when it's at a smaller scale, you think more of the big picture rather than the small details. And that's another reason I chose to do the tree in the drama and in general, because it makes you not so particular, not so specific about the details. You can just be loose and not worry about mistakes as much. However, mistakes will happen. As you will see, I wanted to do a second tiny painting, but I made very big mistakes and it didn't end up going the way I wanted. But the painting of the tree did go how I wanted it to go. So I guess, as you can see, I made the shadows purplish and then the highlights a pinkish color. I read that usually if you have cool shadows, your highlights will be warm, and if you have warm shadows, your highlights will be cool, which is such an interesting fact. So I tried to show that in this painting, but the flowers in the tree kind of cover up the highlights, but it was good practice. So let me just discuss the next tiny painting I attempted to do a little earlier, because I have a lot to say. I've worked with gouache many times. That's probably the medium I use the most, and even then I still made a big mistake with this tiny painting. I didn't really plan before I did these paintings, so I just kind of winged it in a way, which is fine because I think mistakes are a way for you to learn for the future, which is why I decided to include this next tiny painting that's coming up, because it's important to know that everyone makes mistakes and you just have to learn from them and not give up. We're only human, and when you use a traditional medium like paint or markers or something, mistakes are bound to happen and you really can't do anything about it. So this is the painting I was going to do. It was a scene from Emma, and it was going to be like a little preview before the painting I'm going to post on Friday of, I do a bigger acrylic piece of Emma, so look out for that video on Friday. But a lot of things went wrong. For instance, the tape started peeling up, so the paint would go underneath the tape, and it didn't have clean borders. The background got kind of messy. As you could see, it's not the greatest background, but the real mistake was the skin. And I will be shortly talking about this in real time. So just know that mistakes happen and you just have to learn from them. So real time Priyanka will take it from here. I'm not that happy with how this came out. I'm probably not going to include the process of painting this in this video, but not too happy. I'm not really happy how the skin came out. It's not bad, but I wanted it to be a little lighter and not these intense shadows for this scene. So sometimes even if you're familiar with an art supply or art media, sometimes you still make mistakes. Nothing to get you down, just to learn for the future. I might do this again another day, and yeah, so sometimes we make mistakes, but always important to learn from them, which is the important thing. So with using this gouache, I have made this piece. I also made this piece. This I kind of failed and made mistakes, but that's okay. Gonna redo this one day. But I did make this piece and I'm quite happy with it. For the gouache, I'm very happy with this gouache. The only thing I will say, there is a smell, like with all paint, because it's just out in the open, the smell just kind of hits you, which I zoomed out a bit because it was a little too close. It's not that potent, but just a little warning, there's quite a smell. Other than that, I really like this gouache. The paints were quite opaque, and I'm quite happy. It's very opaque and very intense. Like all gouache, it dries matte. And yeah, I'm very happy with this. And I would recommend this. They have like a good variety of colors. You have two whites. Unlike watercolors, white paint is quite helpful with gouache because you can make lighter colors. There's a bunch of reds. There's purples, blues. These two are blues. This is like purplish blue. A bunch of greens and orange. Yeah, I would say it is quite good. Also, you have you have primary colors. Like these three are the primary colors, so you can make even if 18 colors is not enough, you can make even more colors. Yeah, there is one thing I do wish they did was maybe sell individual jelly cups, because just in case you do run out, because for some colors I don't see myself using that much. I find that I've been using red and yellow quite a lot just to make skin colors and white. So maybe a good idea, maybe in the future, maybe they could make individual jelly cups. I think that would be quite helpful, especially if you don't use that, like all the colors that often. I think that would be a cool idea for them to do in the future. And maybe make more colors. Some colors you can only get individually, so you can mix and match your palette. Because you can reuse this. Highly recommend this paint. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you liked the little painting I did. I'm sorry I couldn't show you this one. I really wanted to do this Emma piece, but sometimes you just make mistakes and mistakes happen. So I will see you next time. Bye!